All right, here's the before stock Trailblazer brakes. And here is the after. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to replace the stock 2009 Trailblazer front brakes with a set of lightweight 4-piston drag brakes. Now these are from TBM Brakes. Most of you guys probably know TBM. They're owned by Motion Raceworks. For those of you that don't, they are a fantastic brake option. This entire caliper is machined out of a piece of billet. It's really nice, and it's supposed to be a drag-free resistant front brake, virtually drag-free. And the biggest reason that I wanted it is because as we start to get quicker and quicker in the quarter mile, I wanted a little bit more stopping power than the factory brakes can give you, as well as this thing is pretty heavy. So anywhere we can save weight, it's a huge benefit to us, and it's going to help us achieve that 10-second goal a little bit quicker and a little bit easier without having to move so much weight down the track. So let's get started. I want to take these factory brakes off. I want to weigh them, and then I want to weigh the TBM brakes and see what the difference is, and then go ahead and get everything installed, and then show you guys the finished product. Super excited. All right, there they are installed. Man, these things look great. So this is a little tricky. I don't know that anyone else has put one of these kits on a Trailblazer SS yet, or a regular Trailblazer, but these kits, although they are sold for the SS, they will also fit a Trailblazer LT and 4.2 models, Envoys, I'm sure, because they use this same knuckle, right? Obviously the rotor and then the caliper are slightly different on the SS, but the spindle and the knuckle that they use is the exact same part. So this bolts up just fine. So because this kit is so new, at the time of me filming this video, there are no instructions from TBM for this kit specifically. Now, it's not terribly difficult to figure out, but I will walk you through kind of what I did. So you're gonna get this really nice black anodized machined bracket. Now this bracket is going to go on the outside of the spindle, and these two little notches, right, are going to be facing down, because if you look on the spindle, there's going to be a provision either down here or up here that this needs to be clearance for. So these are not side specific, right? These larger bolt holes are going to be what mounts this to the spindle, and then you're going to have some hardware. The larger bolt, lock nut, and washer is for mounting this bracket to the spindle, and then the slightly smaller hardware, lock nut, bolt, and washer, is for mounting the caliper to the bracket. Now what I found is the easiest way to install this was to install the caliper onto the bracket and then mount the bracket with one of the bolts, with the bolt coming through the back side and then the nut being on this side. That way you could swing it out of the way and install your fully assembled rotor hat. So this rotor is two pieces, right? The rotor itself and then the hat. Well, the hat has 3 different steps in it, and then the rotor can be installed one of 2 ways. So there's 6 different possibilities of how you can install this. I'm going to show you how I did it, and just because I was unsure if I did it right and I couldn't really find a way to get it perfectly centered, I called TBM, and they told me that their general rule of thumb is if you can install these brake pads by hand with everything assembled, then it meets their specifications of the drag-free brakes, right? Which I could do. So that being said, let me show you what the hat and the rotor looks like. So here's the rotor hat, and I got to give it to TBM. They're incredibly smart for making these kits very versatile over a wide range of platforms, right? And in terms of like reusability, like this design is awesome, because they could probably take these rotor hats, machine whatever bolt pattern they want into it with a center bore hub to fit whatever hub it goes on, and you know, it probably fits like dozens and dozens of vehicles. So I gotta give them props for manufacturing, because that's awesome. I would imagine that this hat is machined with these steps. Every hat is machined with these steps, and then the face is left blank until they decide what they want to use it for. I could be completely wrong. This is just my assumption. So you see these 3 steps, right? And then the rotor, one side is flat, and then the other side has a step right here. So you can install it with the flat side down on either of these steps, which is 3 of the options, or you can turn the rotor around and then install the step side on either 3 of these steps. So that's how you get 6 different options. So the way I did it was I mounted the flat side down on the lowest step, and that gave me, like, everything is fully assembled. The pads are in, I can spin it, and it's perfectly fine. It slightly skims the inside pad, but the clearance between the outside pad is smaller than what any of these steps are, which means if I were to flip the rotor to bring the rotor more towards the outside, it's just going to become, instead of skimming the inside pad, it's now just gonna skim the outside pad. So it's gonna do the same thing, it doesn't really matter. But once there's brake pressure applied and the pistons are out, it's gonna place it where it wants to place it anyway. And then once you have the wheel bolted up, obviously the rotor can't move. And then I think the goal is, like, as soon as you start driving it and wear off a little bit of pad material, it's going to, like when you release the brakes, the pads are gonna come out and it's gonna free spin, you know, drag free anyway. So that's how I installed it. I didn't really torque anything down yet because I wasn't sure if I was gonna try and flop this rotor around, but I didn't. So let me show you. With the rotor in, there's a small gap between the outside rotor, and then there's no gap, well, a very, very, very small gap between the inside rotor and the inside pad. So you can hear it just barely skimming. Honestly, almost not skimming at all anymore. Oh, actually, yeah, it's not skimming. So I think that is the right way to do it. And again, their rule of thumb is if you can install these pads by hand, like you don't have to tap them in with a mallet or anything, they meet their specifications. And that is what we did. So that is them installed on the Trailblazer. I think they look absolutely incredible. I'll show you what they look like here in a second with the wheel on. It looks great. I'm super excited. As you can see, I got this brake hose pinched, and that is because if you have stock lines, they're not going to fit on the TBM brake. So the TBMs use a 3AN fitting down here, and you need to run a 3AN fitting up to your factory brick here. So TBM sells a kit that converts this to an AN line. Now, I don't know that that kit is gonna work with this factory fitting. I don't know what size this is. So if it doesn't work with it, what I may have to do, and they kind of let me know this, I may have to cut this fitting off, put a new fitting on it, reflare the line, and then attach everything, right? So, because originally I bought a set of SS stop brake stainless lines, but the problem isn't the line itself, the problem is the end down here, right? This brick with this banjo bolt is not going to go in here. I don't want to risk trying to take this AN fitting out and put this banjo bolt in when I know this works. I'd rather just have a 3AN fitting to the factory hard line and be done. So here's what I did with the brakes. I got a union from AutoZone, which is the 5/16, oh no, sorry, 1/2 inch by 20 to 1/2 inch by 20 union. This converts the 1/4 inch line to a 3/16 inch line, and then gives me the right size I need here to go to the Motion Raceworks adapter. This adapter gives you a 3AN fitting, and then I got the Motion Raceworks 3AN fitting line because the brake caliper takes a 3AN fitting. So I do plan on bending this line and mounting it to this point here. I just wanted you guys to know this is how I plan to hook it up. Now, the next thing I want to mention, I'm gonna throw some pictures up. I'm gonna show you, I had everything over here, right? These are the factory rotor and factory loaded caliper, right? With pads and everything and the bracket. This weighed at 39.2 pounds for this whole assembly. Well, the TBM rotor with the pads and the bracket and the caliper, so that the loaded caliper, the rotor, and the bracket weighed at 10.2 pounds, or 10.4 pounds for the TBM, 39.2 for that. So a 28-pound difference per side. That is absolutely insane. And remember, this is unsprung weight. So if you're unfamiliar what the difference between sprung weight and unsprung weight is, sprung weight is anything that the suspension is supporting, right? All of the chassis, the weight of the vehicle, essentially. Now, unsprung weight is anything that is not supported by the suspension, right? So wheels, tires, brakes, the suspension itself. So unsprung weight is much harder to get down because it's not weight that's coming off the body. So our general rule of thumb is like for every 1 pound of unsprung weight that you remove is almost equivalent to 2 pounds being coming off the body, right? So 56 pounds total coming off the front with both sides on the brakes, it's almost equivalent to like over 100 pounds coming off the body. I mean, it is 56 pounds coming off the front anyway, which is massive. So that's going to help rotational mass. It's going to help acceleration. It's going to help, you know, typically it helps handling on cars that like road course, but we're not road coursing this thing. But anyway, this is it. I'm super excited. Let me throw the wheel on so you guys can see what this thing looks like. It's absolutely incredible. I'm so stoked. Oh. Doesn't help me that this tire is super heavy. There we go. I got a couple lug nuts in my pocket. What are the odds? All right. So that is what she looks like, fully assembled with the race star wheel. I'm super stoked. I think this is going to come out absolutely amazing. A lot of people question like, oh my gosh, like, can you daily drive these? Obviously it's not going to be as comfortable as, you know, the factory brakes, but I mean, I drove this on the street many times. They have strange brakes. It's the same concept, same thin rotor. You know, a lot of people wonder, well, why is this rotor waved? And I don't know if you've seen motocross bikes, but you know, the whole purpose of the waved rotor is mainly just to save weight. I mean, there may be some sort of like heat transfer properties with it, but as far as I know, the whole point of it is just to make the rotor as light as possible. Now, there are heavy cars going like 200 miles an hour that run these brakes and they stop fine. This thing, you know, our goal is hopefully to get it like 4,500-ish pounds race weight. Now what that means is like the entire vehicle with me in it, fueled up on the starting line, weighs 4,500 pounds. That might be a stretch, but you know, we've definitely saved weight where we can. We're pulling the power steering out. Obviously, we're gonna just kind of replicate that weight with the electric power steering, but at the end of the day, they're perfectly fine. I'm towing the drag and drive trailer, which is virtually weightless, even fully loaded. Like, you can pick up the tongue and drag the whole trailer around. It's not that heavy. I'm not concerned about it. If I was gonna daily drive this, I would rather have TBM street version brakes, but currently they don't offer that for this. Maybe down the road when they do, I'll go to that, but I'm doing this strictly for weight savings. So if you guys like these, which I think they're awesome, if you guys don't know who TBM is, Motion Raceworks own them. They're a fantastic company. They're great customer service. Yes, they are a bit on the pricey side, but like, they're made in America. It's a piece of machined billet. Everything is out of Bradenton. I got it on Black Friday, so I got it a little bit cheaper, but you know, but yeah, they're fantastic brakes. I know plenty of people that run them and they absolutely love them. And yeah, so I'm gonna wrap this video up here. Thanks again for watching. If you guys aren't subscribed, please consider subscribing. If you are subscribed, I really appreciate the support. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a member and you want to, consider becoming a member, there's 3 different tier options. We try to make posts and videos and shorts for members only. So there are some slight perks. And soon the website will be back up with our merchandise, which currently is 2 shirts. We have a shirt for the Trailblazer and we have a shirt for the Cobra. And anything that's purchased like that just helps support the channel and helps support getting content like this out and paying for questionably expensive brakes. So thanks again, and I'll see you guys in the next one.